The more than halfway trick.
That's what I would have done.
So
Actually,
what?
probably just use the ruler, honestly.
What do we know about these shapes up here? Like, so if I just draw a circle and say, what do we know about a circle?
It has
See, here's what annoys me too.
360
When I'm drawing it, it shows me the center and then disappears. They're like, come on, smart.
Wait a second. If you have two people, one person.
has it, if you make it bigger, it has the center.
Oh, yeah. But Desmos, then I can't draw on it as well as I like drawing on smart board. So it's like pros and cons, right? What?
You could take this.
Actually, yeah, you're right. That would have been convenient. I should have done that. Or I should have used Geogebra, really. I don't know if I've shown you guys Geogebra yet, but Geogebra is
We've
fun.
talked about it many times.
I mean, it's an app. It just lets you like
How much
model
does
with
it cost?
geometry. It's free, but it lets you model with geometry like Desmos. Yeah, Desmos has two apps. I think they have a scientific and then a graphing calculator. All right, so we said in this circle there are 360 degrees.
Depends on what kind of degrees you're talking about.
Ooh, or how many radians?
No, that's not actually what I was talking about. There's 2 pi radians. But that's not actually.
What are you trying to make the joke about, like Fahrenheit or Celsius?
No.
Okay.
I was talking about, like, if you try to take the degrees that you know how, like, a square has, like, 490-degree angles on
Ooh,
it? So
okay, hold
if you
on.
try to do that with a circle, that'd be fun.
So 90. If this is bisecting, what would be?
Oh my gosh, it's an isosceles right triangle.
It's a nice isosceles. Oh, wait, that, like all isosceles, yeah.
What sort of triangle is this? Equilateral, or at least it's supposed to be. Smart doesn't actually have an equilateral triangle in its shapes, so I just had to use a triangle and try to make it, work. So if it looks not quite right, just forgive
It
me.
looks slightly isosceles.
Yes, if it looks slightly isosceles. So then, what would the angle on each?
60.
And do you want us with one square with 2 lines and one square with no lines, or one square with 2 lines and one square with 1 line?
What I have drawn up here.
Should we like take the notes of 45 and 90?
Wait a second, guys.
If you
guys,
want.
I figured
I mean,
out
really,
how
this
to
is
do
mainly
it.
about like connecting the rules we're going to talk about and why those rules exist.
Mr. Hudson, is it okay if I expand the line like through the midpoint of the triangle to the other side?
Sure. Oh yeah, sure.
Because like that's just gonna be easier for me.
Well, I will say, well, sure. I mean, so what would this angle be?
That angle is
120. So if I extend that line, like I think you're asking about, then that's just going to cut it in half, right? And those will be 60s.
it's just more like with the way that I'm measuring it. That's
Sorry, I
It's
know
30,
that I'm
60,
not.
90 triangle.
Hey, it's a 30. Oh, so we know a 30. So in here is 30.
If you do it again, on the other two triangles,
so I got roughly the midpoint. Okay.
it would look like an in-center, but drawing one, but then you'd get 36.
Well,
And
it makes the right angle. We know the 90 too. I know it's like I know you guys have said 30, 60, 90 triangles, but I feel like it's
I
good to
did.
point out that those are perpendicular.
I did. Well, and we're recording, so for that person 10 years from now that finds us on YouTube somehow, might as well label it so they.
You know, it's not gonna exist. You know.
Why I'm always saying that sarcastically is I don't put tags on my YouTube videos, so you have to actually go to my channel if you expect to find my videos. Because if you just search it on YouTube, anybody else's video with tags is going to come up before mine, right? Like, I don't tag it, like, right. And then you can search on my page, but if you just search YouTube, you're probably not going to find my videos. So if I drop this line, that's a diameter, and that leaves, like, how many degrees? 180 on both sides. So, what we're saying...
1 pi radians.
Ooh, or a pi. Get hungry.
I'm having waffles still on.
So wait. So hold on. What we just said is if we draw a diameter, then what we end up with is 180 degrees for that arc.
Yeah.
Probably not bright enough.
Which is 2 pi.
Which, hold on, so this, I shouldn't have brought up radians because we're not really going to talk about radians today.
No, but I was saying.
Wait,
Like,
so,
well,
I mean, I don't know if it's going to make sense. Well, sorry, go on.
I can't.
If this was a unit square in the middle there, then that would be 2. Radical 2.
So we're not going to label any lengths because this can be expanded to any size. But you're right. I like what you're saying.
That relation is there.
Yes, I like that. And actually, we would maybe, I don't know if this is one of those cases where you would make the diameter 1 or if you'd make the edges 1. It depends on what you want to do with it.
Or the radius 1.
Ooh, yeah, and then because that'd be easier to work with probably. Because then the diameter would be 2, so that diagonal would be 2. Okay, we're going down the tangent road.
So, if you get like half the triangle off, so I don't know. No, I'm not gonna. So, if you get this
No.
triangle off, that would not, the 180 would be divided by 2 would equal that angle. I have no idea what that means, but that was. It's like I remember doing it in homework where half the angle from the outside.
Equals what angle?
So, the arc
If you want to.
length, I don't know. The arc length and then the angle you're trying to find is half of it. Because I did that in
Yeah,
homework
okay. I see
yesterday.
what you're saying. We talked about that the other day.
Holy cow, that's some calculation.
Is that what we're. Do any of us have any. Do you guys know what we're actually supposed to be doing?
No.
That's the most fun, right? When you have no
Mr.
idea.
Hudson, what are we supposed to be doing?
Exactly what we are doing. Writing things down, figuring things out, and then we'll formalize it into some rules. But I am not the here's a rule, memorize it kind of teacher. At least I don't like being that kind of teacher. So what Akshay just said was if I look at this part of our shape, we've got half of the square or a triangle. What we really care about is that what we've got is a 90-degree angle right here. That then across from that, we know this is 180 degrees of arc measure.
Wait a second.
Arc measure, not arc length. Remember, so arc length is actually like how many units long is it? Arc measure is how many degrees open is it? But I see another 90-degree angle down here. And that does not.
Well, that's because that's not an inscribed angle. That's silly, Mr. Hudson.
Okay, so tell me more.
Which means
That
it's
it's the same.
because if you think about like the middle, like what you wrote in the top right, where there's like the middle circle, and then there's the big circle, and the middle circle is how many degrees the circle is. You're splitting that into 4. So it's the same as if you split the outside into 4.
Because you were talking about this like 2 days ago or something, and I said,
Yeah.
Mr. Hostas did this. And you said that one of them is 2, one of them is the same, and then it's equal.
Yeah, and now we know why one is 2 and the other is.
In the past, people haven't been like, "Oh, Mr. Holland," so I've been able to like keep this kind of a secret until we do this. But absolutely, if we go do the same thing with the triangle, I just think the square is a bit easier to visualize because the diameter can get used. We do the same thing with this triangle.
So that's
Exactly what you just said about slicing up the circle. If I wanted to make a perfectly what I think Jake might actually be doing, a perfect equilateral triangle, I would do point, point, point every 120 degrees. So what that tells me is I know that this is 120, and I know that in an equilateral, this is 60.
See,
Wait, I still don't
Why is
understand
it
why
that-
that
Hold
was
on, we
the-
can't keep talking at the same time.
I don't understand why that's the same for the 90 and 90. I mean, I know it's 90, but why?
So, do you want to say what you said again? So, what
Wait,
Akshay is asking is
oh, for
why
this- Okay.
is this 90? And I prefer when you guys teach as opposed to when I teach.
So you know how back in ye olden days,
Ye olden days?
when we were, I'm gonna relate this to a previous lesson because I think that makes it easier to understand. Actually, okay, just Hexagon. Remember when we were doing like this, and then we had to go like
The triangle thingy?
haha, 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 right? And then we split the 360 mini circle in the middle
Yeah.
into 6. It's the same thing here where we're splitting it into 4. Except for now we're taking, now this little circle out here is the same amount.
Oh,
as
yeah.
normal.
Okay, now that makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
Let's start off with the one that looks like
then where this gets a little weird, at least a little bit more awkward to visualize, I guess, I don't know if weird's the right word, is if
There's like a whole big circle and there's a bunch of different lines. 'Cause that's how Mr. Hall's homework looks like.
I mean, I'm not going to say, no, I'm not going to give you things like that. But if I come here, and I don't know that angle, if we don't know that angle,
Because it's not a square.
because it's not,
Yeah.
we imagine we don't have the rest of it, right? We just have that angle. Well, if I tell you that this is 90 degrees,
And that'd be 45.
then this is 45.
And then you become smart. 'Cause then it's
Like-
And then we become smart. So, likewise, over here with the 30, 60, 90, could you tell me how long this arc is?
Yeah.
Yes, it's 60.
Which we can justify two different ways. One, if I talk about this coming from here and here,
Then it's 60.
that is what Connor just showed us,
Yeah.
right?
That's
Or, so these are either equal to each other, or if we come from over here, our arc measure is double the angle size. Does that make sense?
okay. I understand that it's double the angle size, but I'm still trying to wrap my head around why that is.
Okay.
Like, I don't know. Because, like, the double, is it just.
Do you have another 0.7 pencil?
Not square. Did not mean to do square. Trying to think of what other shape to show.
Wait a second. Can you show the circle with the diameter again for a second?
I mean, I'm gonna guess the diameter because without putting a square in first.
Okay, yeah. Any diameter.
He's still making cool shapes.
Okay. So,
You can listen to
so that diameter, like each of those arc measurements have to be 180 degrees total, right?
Yeah.
So then, like, if you put an angle on that line anywhere, the angle maximum. No, not like that. Like, here, could you get rid of that new line? I don't like it. So, like, so, like if you do this here and like, oh, that's okay.
You mean like a tangent line?
Yeah, if it was a tangent line, that would be 90 degrees,
Mm-hmm.
and so that'd be the whole arc line there.
My nose tissue
And
box
but
is tall.
but
Dang it! I forgot to pass out papers again.
I understand that it works, but but I just don't get why. What?
What?
Right?
What was I supposed to ask?
I get a circle that has lines around a point.
From the same distance?
The same distance. That's cool.
I actually traced a circle there first, but I wanted to see if I could do it.
Okay, you want to run through this with a couple more shapes to try to get our brain wrapped around it?
Okay, do we have sign homework?
Yeah, but can we do like the lesson first? I mean, of course we're gonna have homework. What sort of day would it be if we didn't have homework?
Yeah, that's a fun day.
You mean like, can we skip some problems? I mean, ask me again in a few minutes. But
Also, you need to give us our text back. I completely forgot to tell
you are correct. I should do that as soon as I draw this up here. So if I do, gosh, I hate that this doesn't do regular.
See, Google is the hit in this, and that's saying something. But Google Slides has a nice thing where they, or Google Draw has a nice thing where it, like, it stops it for a second at, like, regular shapes.
Yeah. All right, let's imagine that this perfectly lines up.
Okay.
What would be the sum of the interior angles of this hexagon?
Let's see.
It's 3 times 180.
3?
No, 4 times 180.
4 times 180.
360 times 2, which is 720.
So 720. So each of these. So 720 divided by 6.
Is 120.
So each of these would be 120.
Right, so that means if you made it like that whole thing would be 240.
No, I understand that
So-
that's how.
You've already justified the why this works. So let's make sure we understand like part 1 of it, and then we can understand part 2. When we make an equilateral shape, Jake, now you're just destroying stuff. When we make an equilateral shape, we have to subdivide the circle evenly. So to make a 6-sided shape, I need to subdivide the circle into 6 pieces, making each of these individual sections how big?
That's 6 in the circle, so 60 degrees.
60 degrees. So when I go from 1 point to 2 points over, and that arcs out this part of the circle, right, like opening the angle that way, I'm not counting 2 of them, and I am counting 4 of them. So 4 times 60 makes this major arc 240 degrees.
Okay.
Oh, that's cool.
Like,
So with the
you can have
triangle,
any regular shape.
we did 60, 60, 60. When we look at one opening,
I understand that it works. I just don't understand why the relation is always 2. You know, I don't get why it's 2 times. Oh, is it because of the interior angle formula thing? Wait, why is the interior angle?
I mean, so the other way we can look at this
Now that song is gonna be stuck
is
in my
like
head.
that, but now the temptation is to look at the central angles. So, here, that like, and this is what, it depends on the person of which is easier to learn first. If I set that up, each of these is 60 degrees, right? So it's literally 60, 60, 60 triangle in here. So it arcs out one of our subdivided sections,
Which is
making that 60 degrees. So the central angle is always equal to, because it's how many times we...
Wasn't good.
Did you break the desk? Yeah, it snapped. That happens as they get older. Just make sure it doesn't cut you. I'll put tape on it.
My bad.
Tape? How's tape?
It's because it'll cover up the sharp edge. But then we got to probably just get that desk replaced. It's a weak spot because that's where they bent the metal. So if you look at the desks, like how they sit, that's not only where they bent it, but it's also where they welded it. And when you heat metal up, it gets weaker.
Where
How did you do that? Mine is like
there?
Yeah, where it's bent. That's where Jake snapped. Right where it's bent, right before the weld.
I like put my foot on it. Just like,
Yeah, it's fine. So
Like
the
that's
reason
like a nice
the reason the central angles are equal is that's how many sections the 360 has been divided into. Right? Which works the exact same for when we slice up the shape or when we cut up the circle. The reason that the inscribed angles, the ones that are opposite, are double is because instead of, like here, if we look at this, being the same as what we sliced, like our like pie slices up into,
It's two of this actually.
and actually, if I draw this,
It's 30, 69.
it's a 30, 60, 90.
what does per one?
So, hold up, because this is where we connect this back together. What would this be?
diameter.
A diameter. This 90-degree inscribed angle must arc out 180. The 60-degree inscribed angle must arc out 120. And the 30-degree inscribed angle must arc out 60 to pick up the entire 360 degrees around.
So an inscribed 30, 60, 90 triangle also works really nice.
Because to make it a right triangle, that hypotenuse has to be your diameter.
Because it's the longest side. Yeah. Nice.
What does per 1091 stand for?
What? What does what?
It's on here. It says Micah Hudson.
Oh, that's just my, like, so you want to know something really sad?
Okay.
PERT, I mean, not, like, actually, it's a sad. PERT stands for Perry Teacher. When they closed down Perry, they never changed the coding that they give to the teachers that got hired here. So even though when I got hired, Perry didn't exist, my coding in the district is Perry Teacher 1091.
Wait,
Isn't that kind of ironic?
Is that like your social security number? Can I use
No,
that
I mean,
to
it's,
like
if you want to run some copies, you still need my passcode that goes with that. That's like all you can really do with my. You can log into the W Cloud. And
So
like,
I could do Micah Hudson, whatever that is, and then per.
no, PERT 1091 is my like Micah Hudson. That it's like who I am to the district.
You are.
I am PERT 1091.
You should call all of our teachers by their codes.
I mean, I could figure out who like what people's things are if you want to really freak them out. Actually, I don't know if I could figure that out.
That would be
Just
funny.
randomly, I got
And
reminded.
on the last day of school, all
You
the
got
teachers-
reminded what?
Did you fill out the letter with application thing?
Yeah, well, complicated answer, but yes, Chris Hasbrook was over here, so we just like talked about you and everything to save us time.
That's a bit
Oh,
scary.
Oh, there is right. I'm an idiot. I thought there were regular shapes somewhere. I was just clicking the wrong
Are you
thing.
sure those are regular?
Yeah, that's why it's got the numbers inside of it. So, except we keep
That's not
clicking the wrong thing. So to make sure that we are all comfortable with how this all works, if we do another right triangle, because the hypotenuse thing works really well.
See, now that song is stuck in my head.
Wait, industry?
Yeah.
Wait, no.
That
Yeah.
is industry, baby.
So think about 45, 45, 90.
Yeah.
Close enough.
So the 90 degree, this has to be the diameter. This has to be 180. Has to be double, right? The 45 has to have 90. The 45 has to have 90.
Okay.
Is it clicking?
I don't know. I just, the fact that it's
Encore.
I don't know. It's just the fact that it's a relationship of two is still like really messing with my brain. I don't see where the two comes from. Still.
Because the circle has 360 degrees instead of 180 degrees like the triangle does. So we want to relate everything to triangles compared to circles. It's because 360 versus 180.
That makes a lot of sense. And yes,
Even maybe make some dollars. All right,
Nah.
let's do some practice problems now that we understand a little bit of this. And then in like 5 minutes, I got to get you your test back because
This
otherwise
is
I'm going to
that
forget
guy.
again.
What?
This is what?
The guy that measured the earth with shadows.
Yeah, Rasta.
Greek man.
Yes.
Greek guy.
Yes. So you have this on, not this exactly, on your worksheet from yesterday or whenever. So are you saying Mr. Hall's homework looks like this?
Yes, exactly like that. Oh my god.
Yeah, Mr. Halston.
It's like the same problem.
Exactly, it is the problem with the same problem.
So there are actually some really interesting things that we can end up seeing here.
I see.
And if we can't stop helicoptering the shapes template, we're going to put them away. So if I look at arc FG,
Yes.
that can actually tell me two equal inscribed angles.
It can tell you FKG.
FJG.
And then yeah.
And
So
H.
these are actually equal then,
Wait, FJ. Yeah.
because they
You are right.
inscribe the same arc.
Wait, what? Are there any other points like that?
Cool.
Well, you tell me.
Let's do
What if I do
GH.
here and here?
No,
Yeah, that doesn't work. 'cause nothing's-
FJH and FKH.
So you want here?
No, FKH. Yeah. Wait, no.
Wait, FK.
FH is the arc.
FH is the arc.
Oh, you want
F-
this?
It's angle FKH.
Oh, so you're saying this opening?
Which means that the
And
smaller
this
ones have to be the same too. Because how math.
So you're saying this has to equal this?
Yeah.
Oh, that
And
makes
then we
sense because
know-
both of them go to here to here.
And then we also know vertical angles, so we know like any vertical angles are the same. So that gives us a.
Now wait, so hold on. Exactly what you just said, but let me draw it. So you're saying we know vertical angles.
And we also know the other.
So wait, you're saying JG is the same as HK?
Did I say that?
That's what I'm asking.
I did say that. I did say that.
It's not.
What?
Wait, oh, because that's not necessarily the
Right,
center
that's
of the
not the
shape.
center. That's
Boom, that's the trap door. If this is not the center, these do not behave like that.
true.
So be careful. It's only inscribed or central angles. Other inside angles might share some interesting relationships that we might figure out as we do more work like this.
And they might
We're
help us
going
figure
to.
out other angles too.
But these are not equal arcs, even though these are equal angles.
That makes sense.
So I'd say if you don't engage with me at least a tiny bit, we're putting our template away. So,
Z.
Oh,
If
wait a
Z-
second. I just realized something. When we did this purple one, we could have also just directly done the green one.
yes. Yep. So I'm going to take those moves back, then those last couple arcs. So wait, down here, if this is circle Z, if Z is the center, what could you tell? Like, what could you say?
You could say that Y, W is the same as equal WC.
Wait, what? YW is what?
You could not say that.
You could say arc W. Wait, if Z is the center,
Z is the center.
you could say Z is the center.
WXY.
Or its corresponding angle.
It's half of WZ.
Ah, WXY
That's what I was
would
gonna
be
say.
half
That's what I was gonna say.
of WZY.
I had it in my head. I just didn't like. put it
Okay,
in
Jake,
words.
we believe you.
So, if this arc is 118,
Sometimes I
what
get
is
so
this
mad at
angle?
reading something.
Half of that.
Yeah,
69.
You forgot to borrow.
Degrees.
It's not 69 even though you want to be
It's
funny.
59.
It's 50.
You bozo.
Wait, is it 50?
It's 50.
Yeah, it is 50.
You silly Willy. You wanted it to be funny.
I wanted it to be
So if this is 41,
That'd be 82.
it'd be 82 degrees.
Oh no, now it gets tricky.
If this is 78, what is y?
It's
156.
156.
I got it.
So did I.
So wait, what
I got it
is?
for you.
Okay, no. X is 180.
No, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
We can't prove that.
Yes,
Yes.
I
Screw
can.
the
It's
center.
the diameter, you silly.
Oh
The
yeah.
diameter is always going to have a
Any line
180.
with
Yeah,
center has to-
Connor.
You bozo.
I
Hey,
forgot.
nice. Bozo's a clown, anyways. What is z then?
Half. It's 180 minus 156. 424.
Also, there's 12 degrees left over, so this would be 12, meaning this is 24. All right. If this is 56, what's this?
X is 56 and Y
20.
is 2, 1, 1, 2.
28.
No, that's
112.
It's definitely not
It's
28.
28.
It's 112, guys.
X is 114 degrees.
Yes, I can agree with that.
And then Y is half of 114 degrees. Oh, that's nice.
It's 52. No. No, it's not. Yeah,
57.
it's 57.
X is 50.
D6.
Yeah.
D6.
And Y is 28.
Yeah, Y is 28.
Because they both make the same arc.
Yay!
Nice.
Jake,
I should probably do your test back.
Great!
That's
What homework do we have?
I will tell you what problems you can skip here in a second after I give you the video.
I wasn't coming in this debate.
It was done on 9. What?
You were done on
No, I was humming.
Oh no, what do I have to
Oh
play?
no.
Jake, while there is a side of me that really enjoys all of that math being crammed together on your practice work, you should probably try to get in the habit, at least for high school, to space things out.
And I got an awesome! Ow!
Your work is like, I could take copies of it and like use it for reference. You know what I mean? Like I could show it to people and be like, here, this is like the textbook essentially. Like seriously. And then in contrast, equally as accurate, but then you look at Jake's paper and it's like there are 6 homeworks crammed together on 1 page of graph paper. Hey, I didn't say L. All right, now
I'm running out of graph paper. in my notebook.
for real though, hey, for real though, y'all made mistakes.
Yeah.
So we need to fix those to get that to mastery. If you need help, we can talk about it next week, but I want you to take some time to look at it on your own. I will look at the homework and see what problems we can skip, so give me just a second, and I will tell you that.
What? What did I even...
I got an LOL on my test. That also makes me sad.
See, we actually look at the stuff you guys turn in.
Well, you do.
Okay, you are correct. I can't really speak to other teachers.
Graph.
I don't get LOLs in any of my other tests.
What do you mean graph shape? What are those words mean?
Katerina, you have to go to the office. Katerina, thank you.
Do I
Mr. Hudson, what does the word graph
I
shape?
need to look at what the problem was to remember what I was. Oh, you didn't shade anything. We need to shade where the values of x are allowed to be, like when we shade number line. So like you did here, so I had to assume that was your shading of showing just that arrow going.
Yeah, that's what the line in the
Yeah, it wasn't specific enough.
I'm pretty sure that's incorrect. And that's why, like, I think your
Yeah,
shading
yeah,
is
yeah.
incorrect.
Are you sure?
Well, let me double check mine.
Yes.
Is that best 6 wrong?
We all got the same question.
Which problem is that?
8A.
8A. Let's look at 8A.
I think this is a problem I got wrong.
Yeah, your shading is incorrect. Like, wait. Are you shading inside of those or outside of those?
Why would I shade out?
Yeah, x is between -13 and 1. Maybe I just didn't quite realize that. Oh, this is incorrect.
This one I know I did wrong. Because yeah, that highlight.
What did we
Yeah,
do
this
on
one is actually.
4?
I was
Why
gonna
did we mess up on 4?
Yeah, I think it's just that you wrote it in a way that like confused me.
downward,
That's a
you're
me
in the
issue.
direction
Like that's my.
It's opening,
Opening
downward.
down. I'm so stupid.
We are
I think
stupid.
you all just missed that word.
Oh, what's opening downward?
Well, not the function that you guys wrote.
Four, what do you mean four?
Like, four, like the question.
Oh, you mean the one I got right?
Hey, this is the thing you might want to pay attention to. You may skip if you would like. Man, we should do that one too. You can skip. Oh, you guys are gonna laugh. You can skip 69. Gosh, you're so predictable.
I'm gonna laugh.
I laughed.
You wanted to laugh.
No, I
You can skip 72.
Now we have 8 problems. Does it keep on increasing in problems as the years go by?
I mean, actually, some of these are pretty fast though. When you like, when you get in the rhythm
I think in
of.
like 4th grade we started with like 5 problems.
So it
get
gets
it in quarter.
And
It was
73.
6 at the start, and then it became 7.
Yeah, you can skip 73 if you want.
It might have only been 4 problems originally because I remember it going up at least once every year.
Well, it went
There
up
was
twice.
one problem.
When did you guys start CPM?
In 3rd grade.
It
No,
couldn't be
that's
third.
not right. What did you say?
I think it starts
6th
in-
grade.
So you guys did have.
4th grade.
I did.
Well, what math did you have before 6th grade?
I started in 5th
Before
grade.
6th grade I had stepping stones.
You didn't-
Oh, stepping stones. That's what they use.
I love stepping stones.
Actually,
What about it? I don't know stepping
The
stones.
little
What?
animals.
Okay,
That
so
was
you
tough.
you like
No,
animations and
stepping
Yeah.
not like how it taught math.
Absolutely not.
Okay. This is unhelpful feedback for me,
It was.
I
It was
loved
not.
stepping stones. No, it sucked.
right? Like this is not useful feedback.